Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and everyone in between, I am OverHugs, and I'd like to welcome you back to Building Bread. Thanks for joining us on the adventure today. Today, something has set our villager outpost here on fire. I'm assuming probably a thunderstorm because I didn't expect to see that. And because we don't have fire tick disabled, it is burning down. That's kind of hilarious and ironic. So today, what we're going to be doing is working on the initial row of our villager trading hall. I was thinking, and I figured it would be a good cadence that since this is going to be a reasonably long project, that we do a little bit of the hall and a little bit of a corresponding supporting farm for the section that we're building. So, because of that and what we're going to be doing, the first row of our trading hall here is going to be farmers. We're going to have the farmers be closest because they're the things that require the most back and forth with all the resources that are going to be here, as well as because it's going to be a good supply of emeralds for everything else we need. What I want the row after them to be is librarians, because the next thing we're going to need a lot of is glass. And due to that, we want to get that going as quickly as possible. So what I think we're going to do today is go over a bit of how we're going to construct the trading hall and then create a farm that will support the farmers themselves. Remember way back in episode, I think it was 7, when we created a pumpkin farm and I said we would have something that would be more efficient? Well, today's that day. Over here, we're going to clear out this area, and we're going to build a relatively large-scale pumpkin farm that is still fairly friendly on your resources. But the pumpkin farm is going to be the second part of our adventure today, so why don't we go through the basics of what we're going to do for our trading hall. So if you remember from our previous episode, we cleared all this area out because this is where our villager trading hall is going to go. So I think what the best way to show you what's going on here is I am going to build the first segment here before we start building any other parts of the hall, because we need a great deal of materials before we can do that. And as always, this is where we take our super speed potion and go into a time lapse. And now we have the first row of our concert hall, and you begin to see exactly how big this thing is going to be. Let me just fly back here for a bit, and this is row 1 out of 15. So it's going to be a multi-tiered hall that exists here. And we're trying to make this as realistic to a hall as possible, where it will actually have rows and a stage and decor and all that other stuff, while still being a villager trading hall in the first place. So let's see if we've done our job right, and I'll walk you through what should happen. Now, if we go up there and we push the button to deliver a villager, just like we did with the remainder of our food-like silo here, then we should eject a minecart, and it should come down here and follow this tracks. And when it hits this activator rail right here, the villager should be ejected to the only space they can go, which is this block. There's a slab here preventing them from walking back, so they should see this workstations down there, all the composters, and walk down and come down into it. Once they fall down here, they will trip this piece of string, which will be going to this observer, which will be going to this sticky piston, which will pull back this stair and make it so no one else can fall there, and so that the next villager goes to the next station, and so on, and so on, and so on. I can't take credit for this. Again, giving credit where credit is due. This is another Logical Geek Boy creation. And sure, again, I could come up with something that's similar, but not the exact same thing. But really, again, why? You'll hear me say this a lot. I don't understand why people do that, to just do and make it a little bit of their own, when there's something that's just as good here that we can all do together, and then focus on the things that aren't necessarily already perfected. So let's fly over here and hit the button. So now we're up here. Let's find out if we've done our job right with the moment of truth. Push the button. So far, so good. We have our villager hopefully on their way to enjoy a show. And ejected and standing on the right place. And hopefully they will see the composter over here and walk over to it as soon as they are done trying to track to a bed, because we've done this at a not ideal period of time. If you remember when we had our villagers episode, there are certain hours of the day that villagers will do things like socialize or work or try and sleep. And the work hours are later on in the day than right now, but we have success. Our first villager here has correctly come in and taken a job. Hooray, let's celebrate. And even though this farmer doesn't have all the trades we necessarily want, we have so many of them, it doesn't really matter. The main things that we're going to want to do is have trades for potatoes, carrots, and beetroot. And most of them will have that. And what we actually could do is just leave this one. Eventually, they will change professions because we haven't locked in their trades by actively trading with them yet. So why don't we send a bunch more villagers down here and fill in this slot? And there we go. Now we have all our farmers all in a row here. And I'm definitely still needing to fill in one part of this, because a nice part of this design is that it has conversion built in. As soon as the sun goes down, we're going to catch ourselves a zombie and lure him in back here. In this area here, the zombie can't get access to the farmers unless we flip the lever that's over here, which then lowers them down to the point of where they can be hit. So let's wait for the sun to go down and see what we can do. Okay, we might have our first candidate here. Would you like some delicious pork chops? They're yummy. Yes. Candidate found. First try. Literal first try. All right, so let's get this guy to come in here. Follow me. No, up here. Up here. Excellent. So just come all the way down. And I don't want to deal with those creepers, but I don't think we have got much of a choice. So, and get out of the way. All right, and abandon ship. It's not going to be night here for a while now that we're mid-project. So we just need to close up the other side to make sure that our zombie friend can't get out. And there we go. We have encapsulated our zombie villager. And so now we have the ability to go through and cure these at will, which is fantastic. So the zombie is trapped in there, and you'll see that it can't get anything. It's not able to go and get to any of these farmers. This is a really nice design for that manner. So let's go get a couple of splash potions of weakness and come back and convert some of the villagers. Okay, so we have these two villagers where we've locked in their trades. Potatoes and carrots are the best trade that we can have. So let's drop them down and take two, because actually having blockers so that they are not visible to the sunlight after they've been converted is a little bit helpful. Much better. This is exactly what we want to see. And now we can flip them back up and make it so that the zombie can't see them anymore. Toss a splash potion of weakness at them and feed them a golden apple each. And now we can sit here and wait for them to convert, and once they have done so, we will get cheaper trades. So let's wait for that to happen and come back when it does. All right, and now we've converted them, and as you can see, we have cheaper trades. But that's not good enough. I'm not happy with that. Let's do it again. Better. We're getting there. How about one more time? Now we're talking. Check out those trades. 1. So let's try and go through and do some trading here. And you can see this is really why I don't want to have a lot of beetroot trades, because even though it is only 1, the amount of potatoes and carrots that we've gotten from our farms massively outweighs how many beetroots we've gotten. So it's fine to have a couple, but I'd definitely rather get the trades down. And we could really repeat this as many trades as we have for golden apples and get the potatoes and the carrots down to 1 too. So it's not like we're limited by that. One nice trick that I didn't know until recently is if you hit spacebar after maxing out the trade, it will auto refill. So if you ever have anything that you can't do and you can't get rid of them immediately, you can just hit spacebar and that will refill from your inventory into here. And a couple minutes of trading later, and we have almost 4 stacks of emeralds. And not only will this solve our emerald problem, this will also enable us to buy glass from the next row we're going to build, which is going to be librarians. But that's another episode. I haven't said that in a while. All right, so now that we've done the first section of our villager trading hall, let's get to the farm portion of today's episode. What we're going to do is we're going to build a pumpkin and melon farm right here in this area that I've already cleared out. No time lapse this time. You can only record or look at so many clearing time lapses, and I don't really think they're that interesting personally, so I bet you don't either. And so what we're going to do is we're going to build a farm here, and the kind of hilarious thing about this farm is I went in and I designed this whole farm in creative, and I'm like, wow, this seems so clever. I'm really surprised no one's ever done it before because I hadn't seen it. And then when I knew exactly what to search for, of course, Ilmango had already made one. So this farm is something that I did design on my own. However, it's basically exactly the same as one of Ilmango's farms. So I'll link his farm as well, just to share the credit, and it was his idea first, so credit where credit is due. And the basics of this is it's using minecarts as part of a flying machine in order to harvest both the pumpkins and the melons and have it be part of the system, rather than having to build it the own track underneath it in order to pull it through. So let's get to building, and then we can walk through exactly how it works when it's done. All right, now let's go over how this farm works. This one's not that complicated. It just was a lot of work to plant all of those pumpkins and melons. The good thing is that we have stuff for days. Like, basically, we've got 4 double chests of pumpkins and, oh my god, of melons. Like, probably more than we'll need anytime soon, which you may be kind of picking up on. That's how I like to build farms. I like to build it so that I'll have more than enough of what I need, just in case something changes. So basically, the way that this works is there are 2 flying machines that use items to push down minecarts. And that's why you saw when we were building this, we were using the pistons to push them into the block itself. Very similar to what we did before with the General Mob Farm, where we pushed glass over the minecart. We're pushing either iron fence or glass into it, depending on what we had at the time. Both will work. One thing that is required with this farm is you have to keep them aligned. That's why there's furnaces and why there is stone behind it. Because if these carts get misaligned with the fences, they'll fall off. And it's not that big of a deal to put them back on, and it's still, the resources that are required for this are pretty low in comparison. Otherwise, if we were building this one of the other common styles, we'd need at least 1 observer and piston per plant that we were going to use. And it would be facing down with a minecart track to collect them. It requires a lot more resources than this. So this is just a standard hopper clock, what we've done, and we've disabled it with this lever. So if I flip this lever and enable the farm, you'll see that items start draining out of one hopper to the other. And then after all the items drain, it'll flip over and it'll send off the flying machine to go. What happens is the minecarts that are down here break each pumpkin or melon as it goes, and it collects it within the minecart as it goes. And when it hits the end, there's an auto return station, which we've done before and you've seen. And then they come back, and there are hoppers underneath each one of these minecarts. The hoppers push to dispensers. The dispensers are powered by both a comparator here, which detects if this dispenser is full, and we just have a manual activation that we can do. And this is exactly the same with the double observers facing into each other, which create a 1-tick clock. And we basically just want to empty out these dispensers as quickly as possible so that they go down and up through this bubble vader and into the storage system, which again, we've seen many times before. One thing to note is that both pumpkins and melons grow faster when they have light sources and when they're hydrated. And that's why we put the water sources all throughout this, to keep the farmland wet. That will up our efficiency by about 50%, which isn't that critical, but it's just nice again. If you're going to take all the time to build the farm, why not do it? And here we go. You can see the minecarts going off with the flying machine, and they are knocking out everything, where this will regrow pretty quickly. One of the nice things about having this many plants is random ticks end up regrowing it pretty quickly. Like you can see already, we've got 5 or 6 different ones, and as time goes on, like as these come back, there'll probably be another 20 or 30 that this will be able to do. So that's the reason why this hopper clock is on the time it is. It's maximum. Like we have stuffed it full of as many items as we can hold. And that will cause it to have a pretty decent collection as it goes down and back. The problem with having it being paused as long as we have is that it will be full. If we fly down here, there will probably be melon slices somewhere. And it looks like maybe not. But the hopper minecarts themselves are almost certainly full at this point in time. All right, so that's basically how this farm works. The building of itself wasn't too complicated. It was really just doing a lot of hoeing and putting the crops in place. And we didn't have enough melon seeds, so we had to go through and collect the melons themselves in order to convert them to seeds to get enough. But that's it. That's the farm. All right, last thing to show is I just wanted to show what it looks like when this comes in from a normal run. This isn't the huge run that we just had, but you'll see exactly how much we end up getting with all of these running, and it's a lot. Each harvest here is quite a bit of both melons and pumpkins. So this is more than we'll need basically for our farmers, effectively forever. But if we ever do run out, we can just turn the farm back on, and it will fill up all the areas here. You can even see we have a slight problem with our collection system, that it looks like we're producing too much and the system is being overwhelmed. Like, let's see if that's still true. Yep, that's definitely true. We have ones that are stuck here on this hopper, and it's probably because this hopper chain, yeah, it's completely full. We have totally filled up the system. So, yep, we're producing. And with that, we're going to call it an episode today. Once again, I wanted to thank you for choosing to spend your time on the adventure with me. I have been OverHugs, and this has been Building Bread. As a reminder, I donate the profits I make out of this to local food banks. So if you'd enjoyed or otherwise gotten something valuable out of today, I'd really appreciate it if you could like, subscribe, or tell a friend. Together, we can help people that are in need. I hope you have the most wonderful of days, and I'll see you soon.